Hello everyone, today we'll be looking at a game, J.Lautier versus N.Short from 1990. This is our third video in Stonewall formations, and today we'll be concentrating on a few different alternative ideas for black against white system of 7b3. Just remember, in the last installment we looked at the game Petrosian versus Korchnoi 1946. We saw three different plans by white employed, which were b3 with the idea of bishop to a3 and trading off black's dark square bishop. We saw the idea of knight on b1 going to a3, c2, e1, and then to d3, where in combination with the f3 knight exerted very strong influence over the e5 square. And the other plan we saw was f3 followed by e4, which those three plans all together were just too much for black's king side attack. And it was games like that that caused grandmasters to put the Stonewall defense on the shelf for a while and search for new ideas that would revitalize it. And here in this game we will see some of those ideas mixed with a couple of new ones that Nigel had brought. So here's our typical Stonewall setup right here, b3, and we see instead of a move like queen e8 getting ready to transfer the queen to h5, we see the bishop that's usually a problem in the Stonewall as well as the French defense just being resolved immediately. That bishop is going to go to e8 into h5. White continues with his typical plan of trading off the e7 dark square bishop, bishop e8. Nigel continues with his idea, and I just want to say that you might see this in some games where black initiates the exchange on a3, and I like Nigel's idea better. The reason is because this knight, although attacked right here in this position, wants to go to c2 anyway, to e1, and then to d3, exerting influence here. And once it's there, it's a very strong positional idea for white. However, the downside of it is that it takes time for white to perform the maneuver. So I think that black should utilize those tempi to go forward with his own plans. The reason why you'll see this move in Grandmaster games is usually if black is trying to play for e5. I mean, there's some merit in it, but I think that Nigel's continuation, just ignore it and let white make the exchange, and you keep continuing on with your plan, is the best way to go here. And we'll see in this game that how effective it is. So queen c1. So now Lautier decides that he's not only going to just trade off the bishops, but he's also going to trade off the queens and go into a favorable endgame due to better pawn structure and also inherent weakness in the e5 square and the dark squares in general, especially after the removal of these two pieces. So a5 is played, and again we see different ideas from black, playing on the queen side, development of this bishop early, and we don't see any signs of any king side attack. Bishop takes e7, queen takes e7, queen a3. So there's the moment of truth. Lautier would love for Nigel just to take on a3 and help him out, save him some time here. queen b4. So we see the benefits of a5 here. And the idea now is that if queen takes b4, a takes b4, c takes, e3, and we see now that this b4 pawn has a restrictive effect on white's queen side. And also, it's hard for the knight to come out. Would have to come to the d2 square. And also, now white will always have to keep an eye on this pawn right here. To get rid of the pawn, white will have to do, more like a4, where black will just capture it, and then we'll have a weak b pawn. So after queen b4, rook c1 was played, knight c6. So again, we see the third idea from black here, along with the bishop being developed. a5. Here's the third idea. It was knight c6. Normally we see c6 in the Stonewall, and here it's not too good in combination with a5. It's a great move here because it puts pressure on d4, prepares e5 in some lines, and again c6 will create more weakness around the dark squares, especially in case of an exchange. Here you have a lot of dark square weakness here. So knight e4, and we can see already the restrictive effect of black's play, and now it's black putting a lot of pressure on the dark squares here. So knight e1, possibly with the idea of f3, and also trying to boot the queen out of b4. Knight just goes on, plays e5, exploiting the fact that this knight is not here anymore, guarding e5. f3, definitely a possibility. Here the knight would just go back to a knight f6 here, and the game would be equal. And it's probably better than the game continuation. I would think f3 is a better move, because this just gives black what he wants. Develops the rook. He's still under tremendous pressure, so it doesn't resolve any of his problems really. E takes. In fact, it probably exacerbates the situation. b3 is played, and this is a great move, because what Nigel was doing here by exploiting this bizarre setup right here, this gift wrap of piece placement here, is that he's trading this weak pawn b3 for a nice central pawn, and you'll see by this combination. See, now the guardian of d4 is taken away. He has to recapture, and voila. And here black is dominating and practically winning already, and it's an amazing game, because if you take off the heavy pieces, the game is a draw. Take off all the pieces except the kings, the game is probably a dead draw. However, just due to superior knight placements of black here, black is practically winning the game. White is totally restricted and can't do anything with his pieces. Rook e1 was played, bishop h5, so the bishop enters triumphantly in the game, and in desperation to develop, because notice, how can this knight move? It can't. This knight can't come out. So in desperation, knight a3 is played, and that opens up J.Lautier for a tactic of knight e2, which cost him the exchange. The reason why is if he moves out of the check there, knight takes f2 is mate, and king f1, knight d2 is mate. So he has to give up the rook. So just going back, his best move is just to give up the bishop here. Yeah, and knight d2. And black is much better here. Now you might say, hey, what about just rook takes? Yeah, if rook takes a8 takes, and He has back rank problems, and of course the rook can't go and defend because of that bishop over there in h5. So the game went on for a while longer, but this effectively ends the survey on bishop a3 for our purposes. I just wanted to show you that black had some novel ideas, and you just don't have to attack on the king side in the Stonewall Dutch defense. So we'll see you on the next installment. We'll be looking at another idea from white.